recording.
All right, folks, we're in Michigan, beautiful Michigan. My goodness, the foliage here. I mean, not down. I don't know, just right over on that hill. If you can see, it's just like full fall, and it's 80 degrees. As long as I keep moving, I'm good to go. Um, I stopped at the border, Michigan border, to take a picture of the Michigan sign, and I thought I put the kickstand down, but did not. There's something in helicopter flying, it's called dynamic rollover. That's where you have a pivot point, a rolling motion, you exceed the critical angle, the helicopter is going to flip over. Very true with a BMW GSA loaded to the hilt. So I put my foot down, started leaning to the left because I got the kickstand, I put it down. I was all excited to take a picture of the Michigan sign, and kickstand wasn't down. I tried to stop it, which is a mistake. I should have just let it go. Kind of tweaked my neck to try to stop it, and I didn't. So I dropped my bike for the first time, and it's embarrassing, but I use good technique. I've studied on how to pick it up before I did it. Not today. I've just been riding bikes, GSAs, for a while. Anyway, picked it right up, no problem. It was pretty cool. A Harley guy smoking a cigarette, no helmet, pulled up. Hey, it looked like you're a little too far over. That was pretty cool of him to come over and help, but I already got the bike up. No damage to the bike. It's all good. It's all part of the riding experience here. Man, what a beautiful day. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Global Roots today and how I got started with that. Yesterday was all kind of sad. I'm talking about my friends Jelly 38 and 39, but today I'm going to talk about Global Roots. Rick Montgomery, who runs Global Roots, is the founder of it. Well, back in 2009, I deployed to Afghanistan as an advisor. I was an Mi-17 helicopter pilot advisor, meaning I'd fly a Russian helicopter for the Afghan Air Force, flying with the Afghan Air Force as an instructor. I might get a little more into that later. And I was also a primary advisor to general officer levels at the Afghan Air Force. So I'd advise one General Asadullah, who was the wing commander, the group commander, and then General Barat, who was the wing commander, and then also General Darwan, who was the Air Force commander. I would work with him quite a bit too. Anyway, so that was my job. I was deployed in 2009, and July of 2009, and that summer we were having our high school reunion, I think 25th or something, and I missed it. And Rick Montgomery got a hold of me through Facebook and asked me why I wasn't at the reunion, and I said, well, I'm in Afghanistan deployed. And then I think he was trying to reach out for this, but he said, so what are you doing to help the children of Afghanistan? And I said, Rick, I'm in a war zone here. I mean, I'm in Kabul and everything, but it's, you just don't go walking around the street helping kids. And it's very restricted on where you can go and how you go. And he just said, let me see, that state trooper, I got to learn their new colors. I was only going 3 above. He's going to get me for that, and I've got to be real careful. Anyway, so yeah, Rick was trying to get a hold of me, and I told him I would love to help kids, but I'm just not in any kind of position to do that. And then he kind of persisted, and then fall came, and it was really cool. My kids, Andrew and Eric, both sent me their Halloween candy they got. This was after Halloween, to give to Afghan children. And I interface with the Afghan children when I'd go fly into villages and whatnot, but and there's just the nicest kids. You wouldn't believe when you go out into the country how polite the kids are out there. But anyway, I didn't have any candy, but no, I did. I had bags of candy. The kids literally sent me like a box full of candy, Andrew and Eric did, to give to Afghan kids. And I was in Kabul, and Kabul's a little different than the country kids. They're kind of rough and tough.
Stay in the left lane.
Okay, I will. I was driving from the south side of Kabul Air Force Base, Airport, to the north side along the fence line. there were some Afghan kids. And I pulled over, and I had some candy, and I started throwing the kids candy through the fence and over the fence. And two things happened. The kids literally started attacking the fence, which was a bad thing because there were, I think, Belgium guards to my right, and they started yelling at me, and the kids were frantically trying to grab the candy, and just realized that was a very bad decision to do on my part. I felt bad for the kids. I felt bad for the guards. The threat of terrorism, it's just horrible. So I backed off. But from that little event, I decided to, I got a Yamaha V-Strom, or not V-Strom, but a V-Star, I think it is. Nice bike. He's been making some rounds. But anyway, so I'm not going that fast. So I decided to help Rick and the kids in Afghanistan whatever way he could. So I wrote Rick and said, hey, what do you want me to do? And he says, I'm going to send you some money. I want you to buy some clothes for a local Afghan orphanage in Kabul. And I said, well, okay, let me see what I can do. So I got a hold of my interpreter, Saeed, who is just one of the sweetest, most wonderful guys I've ever known in my life. And I asked him if he could find an orphanage that would be safe enough for us to operate with. It's reputable. And he says, very good. He went down and he found an orphanage. And then I said, well, how am I going to get the money? And Rick said, I'll send you some money through your account. Well, get this. We had an ATM over there in Kabul, and on the Kabul Air Base. And it was in the old abandoned airline terminal for Kabul International. And literally in the middle of, if you can imagine, a big terminal with no desks, nothing in it other than bullet holes and explosion holes all in the walls. And in the middle of it is a ATM. It was the weirdest thing. And there would be ATM papers. Nobody would throw them away. The Europeans, whatever, I don't know. So here I am. He had forwarded me, I think it was $1,500, but I could only get $200 a time on the account. And so I was in there by myself withdrawing $1,500 from my account that Rick had forwarded to me. And took me about 20 minutes to do it. And got the $1,500, got the money to Saeed, and he went and bought clothes, or what they had requested from this orphanage, which was winter clothes, socks, and boots. And $1,500 goes a long way in Afghanistan. And man, Saeed got literally a truckload of stuff. So later on in December, I had to put in for convoy approval. I had to get volunteers to go on a convoy. And it is super dangerous to do convoys in Kabul. There's only so many roads, we call them MSRs, main supply routes, that you're authorized to go on, and they get hit every month by a suicide attack. I can talk about that a little bit later. But it was terrifying to go on these convoys, which I did almost weekly to go to company, our wing headquarters. Anyway, so it was like Christmas Eve, 2009, we had the trucks loaded up, had the convoys approved, and wouldn't you know, I got tagged to go do a flight, so I couldn't go, but I had some other people in my volunteers and a lieutenant colonel that went for me, and they delivered the clothes to this orphanage. And it wasn't anything to do with Christmas, trust me. We weren't trying to bring Christianity to them. That would be a very bad thing over there. What we are trying to do is just help the children. So we had 10 or 15 Americans go on this convoy and deliver it while I was out flying around, and it was a huge success. It was just the guys that got to go do it had such a wonderful time handing the clothes to the kids, and the kids loved it. And we established a relationship with this orphanage that Rick wanted to use even more. So now, that was a big success. I'll share some of those pictures. Anyway, that was step one. Okay, now Rick gets a hold of me. He's all fired up about how well that went. He goes, Olaf, I'm coming to Afghanistan to see the place myself. I go, Rick, there's no freaking way you're coming to Afghanistan. And he goes, coming to Afghanistan? You're not doing it. All right. So he came to Afghanistan. I think it was by February, first week in February, he got there. Now, I had to work my butt off to get approval for a civilian. I'm not going to let him stay off post, off base. And I got him an ID card. I got him a barracks. I got him, I had to go all the way up through the general officer level for approval for this too. And got him to be able to come on base, which is crazy. So there's that part. And now he wants to go back to the to that orphanage, which we did, and brought some more supplies for the kids. And that was great. But he wanted to go a step further. A lot of agencies could operate in the Kabul area, but outside of Kabul, it was very difficult for aid agencies to be able to go do anything. So he asked me if we could go someplace else, and I said, all right. You remember I worked for the generals, got pretty decent rapport with them, and I went to the generals. I said, can I have a couple of helicopters to go up north to Badakhshan? If you can look on your map, I might try to post that. Faizabad, Badakhshan, and it's relatively safe up there, minimal amount of Taliban activity at the time. And we'll go meet with the sub-governor. We arrange that and go see about helping children up in that region using Afghan helicopters. So we got it approved. And the day came we were going to go up there, and the weather was pretty crappy, some snowstorms, and we have to go over the Hindu Kush Mountains, which are 14,000 feet high between Kabul and Faizabad. And I wasn't thinking we were going to be able to do it, but we had the aircraft loaded up with blankets and supplies to give these people that Rick had bought. And all of a sudden, one of the mornings when we were going to get ready to go, we got word that there was this huge avalanche on the Seleng Pass. The Seleng Pass is a pass that the Russians had built back in the 80s from the north side of Afghanistan to the south, a highway that went up, I think, 12,000 feet is what it went up over. And there was this massive avalanche, and there was actually a German citizen that was stuck up there and had requested assistance through emergency sat phone. And then I got notified through rescue agencies, say, hey, can we send some helicopters up there to go rescue these people? There was not just this one German, but hundreds. And so now I go to, I'm the acting group commander that day. My boss was in Italy. And so I go to the General Barat, and I say, hey, look, we need to go rescue. And Rick was with me, sitting there in the general's office. General Barat, we need 2 or 3 helicopters to go rescue Afghans up in the Seleng Pass. And he was just a really fun man to talk to. But he goes, no. It's very dangerous, very high, too high. And I go, no, General, we've done the numbers. We can go up there. We can do this. I had Ty Kobza with me as well. And did we have the exact numbers? But I knew the aircraft could do it. We're looking at about 9,000 to 11,000 feet, we thought. And he goes, no. And I remember Rick sitting across from me, and I look at General Barat. he's fought against the Soviets, and he's a legend. Anyway, I looked at him and I said, General Barat, you are a hero of Afghanistan. That wasn't a title that he had. We need to help them. You need to let us help these Afghan people. And Rick was trying to film this whole thing, and I leaned over to Rick, and I said, this is sounding like a real adult conversation we're having here. I feel like a real adult now. And General Barat looked at me, and he goes, okay, take the helicopters. So we got the launch authority. Boom, ran out to the flight line. I was trying to find, just one second. I was trying to find, I had some nurses and medics that were going to go with me to help. And they had gone off to lunch, and we, no kidding, had the aircraft loaded, and we have to go now. When the Afghans say go, you go. And Rick was going with me on this whole thing. We were using a helicopter that we had set up for the Badakhshan trip. We had offloaded some of the blankets, but we kept a lot of them on there. And I said, Rick, do you have any medical training? And he goes, Yeah. And okay, all right, you're my medic. Let's go. And we take off. I'm the pilot. Kurt Wicker's my co-pilot. He's another American. Got Saeed, and I got Rick in the back, and Ty Kobza, my flight engineer. And then we had a second helicopter behind us. I'm trying to think of the name of the pilot. There was an American on that too. I'll think of his name. Forgive me. And we launched, and we went up there, and it was incredible. The avalanche was total. It just swept down. I don't know how many vehicles, but there was a couple hundred people apparently killed, and so now there was U.S. Army CH-47s up there operating. It was still daylight, and we just basically flew along the road, along the highway, and there was tunnels that were built in, and I found a clear spot, and we landed the helicopter, and we started loading people, and Rick was in the back helping me with the patients, or with the people, and it was incredible. I mean, just totally nuts. We loaded, I think, about 20 people on board and took off and went back down to Bagram to offload them, and went back up, got 20 or 25 more, and went back to Bagram and offloaded them. Just a lot of real trauma going on. We walked into the Bagram terminal, and I saw CPR being done. We had to get some more fuel, got some more fuel, and then it was getting dark, and we went one more time up to the top. And this time the Blackhawks were gone, and it was dark, but it was so light because of the glaciers up there, the snow, and I just figured we'll keep going. And so we were by ourselves. Our second helicopter, the Afghan, kind of freaked out the pilot. He only went up one time, and he said, no, we're not going back up there. And it was wild. Ty Cubs and I and Kurt and Rick would find people that were stranded and basically just parallel park on the cliff. And I think I can get it in there. I just so trusted Ty Cobza, my flight engineer. He worked the back end, I worked the front end, and he just basically helped me parallel park in these real small parts. And the last lift, I think we were about 10,500, 11,000 feet, and we picked up another, I think, 26 people. Altogether, we lifted 76 people off the mountain that night and rescued them. And I just couldn't help but think. I said, hey, Rick, you remember back in high school graduation at Lincoln back in 1984? I remember when I said, hey, you need to meet me in Afghanistan. I'm going to fly a Russian-made helicopter for the Afghan Air Force, and you and I are going to go up and rescue 76 people off the side of a mountain. What do you think? It's just nuts. Well, so Rick is all fired up. We never made it to Badakhshan, but later on he sent Patrick Swayzon, who is on the French national motocross team, and a wonderful photographer. He came out and later in the spring and went up to Badakhshan and flew up there and did a flight and brought stuff also for Central Asian Institute and Greg Mortensen, which is just another crazy story in of itself. Really developed a really good relationship with Greg, became a lifelong friend for what we did up there. And there was a crazy flight that we did that we went up and delivered books to one place, delivered supplies to another place. The supplies, it was like at, I think, 9,000 feet. It was one of those flights where you just never wanted it to end in terms of the beauty. And for those of you that are not familiar, probably a lot of people think of Afghanistan like Iraq. And yeah, on the southwest end of Afghanistan, it's bordered with Iran. It's low desert. But on the north side of Afghanistan, right in the middle, is these Hindu Kush mountains. And on the northeast, that's the Wakhan corridor that leads to China, which the valley floors in this corridor are 13,000 feet. Unbelievable. Okay, let me see if I can get past this guy. Let's just see if you can stay to the left even more. All right, so there we go. Patrick came up and we did more missions and we got more established. I'm working with Central Asian Institute, working with Global Roots, and Rick got a program. He established a permanent contact up in the Badakhshan. And the thing is, folks, he's still operating up there. Global Roots, they transitioned to a garden to feed orphans and primarily young girls. And then they use this garden through the Department of Agriculture, which is now under the Taliban. Same administrators, they're just working with the Taliban because that's the new government. Anyway, they allow him to continue to operate up in Badakhshan, Faizabad area, which is an incredibly beautiful area, by the way. And he's still there to this day. So, if you have a chance, look up globalroots.org. You can. I'll have some pictures on this slide on this talk here, and take a look at what he's doing. My friend from high school, Rick Montgomery, incredible hero, and he is so persistent and dedicated to helping children not only in Afghanistan but in Africa, and love him dearly. And I'm so impressed with what he's done. And I played a small part. It was just wonderful. He's the one that's gotten it all done. So there you go. Look up Global Roots. All right, much happier note than the last time. We'll talk to you in a bit.